Hello, morning, everyone. It's Nick. As you can see, I am actually, I am at Hollybobs. I'm in Greece in a perfectly beautiful villa, actually, on the Corinthian coast. It's a place called Loutraki. I come here. I have been here many times. Look, it's really stunning with beautiful weather. And I'm not telling you that to go, oh, look at me, I'm somewhere lovely. I'm very, very blessed to be here. And, I appreciate it very much. It's not that. The context is, this is where I am in a truly, truly beautiful place that I've been to many times. We really love it here. I feel very comfortable here. I feel safe. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing, etc., etc. But even so, the anxiety comes, and that is the context really in the setting. So we've been here 3 days now, and gosh, yeah, you can probably tell I've been biting my skin on my nails. I always do that when I get very anxious and stressed. And the night before last, we were sat having dinner and just planning, again, beautiful stuff, planning some trips, planning what we wanted to do, and I could feel it in the pit of my stomach. It's like this heaviness. And it's really difficult to try and explain why it's there. And yesterday it was really bad. I woke up early, I couldn't sleep. I was really stressed about so many different things, which, they might have been things to be stressed about, but certainly not to the proportion I was. It was very obvious to me that it was disproportionate. And it got to the point, I don't know if anybody else feels this, where I got so anxious and so stressed that felt that things were so much out of my control. It was stuff I was worrying about back at home, that actually the exhaustion just overcame me. And it's like some primal thing that your brain does. And I literally just had to zone out and go to sleep for a couple of hours because staying awake was actually just too hard. And the reason it was hard wasn't because of physical exhaustion. It was hard because I just needed some way to shut down the mental anxiety and crap, basically. And it was very much, even in the midst of the crap, I couldn't have vlogged yesterday when I was feeling like that because I was really anxious, and actually I was in rage. I was in fire as well. I was really ragey. But even to myself, I couldn't explain it. I didn't have the words to explain it. But there is something, I don't know if it's a survival thing or what, or a healthy thing that we should do. I'm not sure. Well, I literally just had to zone out for a couple of hours and just go to sleep because it's the only way I could actually shut my brain down. It's the only way I could do it. And I woke up bearing in mind I'm in this beautiful place, really beautiful, with a hugely understanding husband. He doesn't force me to explain things. I'm not in a difficult marriage. I'm in a very, very happy, content marriage. He's my best friend. I don't have a lot of the shit that we commonly understand needs to be there to be so stressed and anxious. So there's something else going on here, and I think because today I feel so much calmer, it says to me it must be hormonal. So I did, we went out later yesterday, which actually is no bad thing. It's like nearly 40 degrees here. It's really hot. It's really beautiful, but it's really hot. And we had lunch and we had a nice day, and I still had another nap in the afternoon. There's something about this mental angst phases and they come from nowhere. I couldn't have said to you it was coming. It was only the other day I was vlogging saying, I thought the rage had subsided, although even then I was saying I know the anxiety hasn't. The anxiety is a constant companion. It did help zoning out. It did help going for a couple of hours sleep. I know that's not always possible, although I have noticed other times when the anxiety has got that bad. It is rare for it to be that bad. Usually it's like that background white noise, and you can just about keep the lid on it. And maybe it's because I am away from home. Maybe it's because I am out of my normal environment, that no matter how beautiful it is here and how familiar it feels, maybe there is something in the fact that, there's a fight or flight thing and I'm not in my normal cave. Something from my kind of almost reptile brain from our evolution, where if you're not in your normal cave, your nervous system or something kicks in order for you to check and make sure that you are genuinely safe. I'm a little bit grasping at straws, I suppose, and maybe I don't need to understand why. I just need to try and observe what could I do that helps when it comes, and is there anything I can do to stop it coming. What can I do when it comes? I've definitely found that either being able to zone out and go for a sleep, or actually physically doing something, going out, doing something, taking my mind off it can sometimes help. What can I do to stop it coming? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to that, and so I'm posing it as a question to myself, and I suppose to everybody that, we all interact virtually, right? I don't know if other people are experiencing this, but I felt it was important to share that bloody anxiety, and it even I know in the midst of it, it's really irrational. It actually, I thought this just come to me then. One thing that does help enormously is my husband is very grounded. And when I'm going into that anxious phase, I'm very fiery and anxious and scared. And I can't tell you what I'm scared of, but obviously behind anxiety, I think there's always fear of something. His energy is very grounded. Now, sometimes that drives me mad, because it's like, bloody hell, any more laid back and you'd be asleep. But he's very grounded. He's very, what's the word? He's not a drama queen, but he's the complete opposite of a drama queen, whatever the opposite of that is. He's the complete opposite. He doesn't do drama. He's very grounded. He's very, you'll think he's doing nothing, but he'll be just sat quietly thinking. And some of the things that were stressing me yesterday, he just laid next to me on the bed, because I didn't really know what to do with myself, actually. It's like it was almost a physical thing where I couldn't settle. And he wasn't saying anything, but he was on his phone. And you might think, oh, brilliant, I'm feeling like this, and he's on his fucking phone. But actually, he was on his phone doing some really practical stuff. And he was just on his phone doing some really practical stuff that was just taking away little things, right? That's off the list, that's off the list, that's off the list, that's off the list. No one of those things on their own was massive, but when you added them all up, actually, I was like, oh. And the sense of relief, because there's something about, I lose the capacity, the cognitive, you know what it is? This is coming to me as I'm talking, so sorry, I hope this isn't boring people too much. I once read about the development of the teenage brain, specifically the development of the boy's teenage brain, because I've got 2 teenage boys and 1 teenage girl. And the boy's teenage brain develops at a different rate to girls. So their emotive part of the brain develops first, and their cognitive, rational part of the brain can actually fully develop something like 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. There can be quite a gap. And the metaphor that was used that really stuck with me, it's like giving somebody the keys to a Ferrari without them having had any driving lessons. And that was the metaphor used in this book to try and explain teenage brains. So obviously, teenagers can be very overwhelmed by emotion and really struggle with the cognitive, rational side to offset that. And that is exactly what happened to me yesterday. And actually, the more I think about it, the more that resonates with me in terms of when I get into a very anxious, irrational, fear-based, ragey, fiery, end of the world type place. it's like the emotional side of my brain is in complete and utter control, and the cognitive part, which controls the rationality and perspective and context and groundedness, it just doesn't get a look in. And we know from the research that the impact of our hormones, in particular estrogen, on different parts of our brain is really significant. And it's a lady called Lisa Mosconi. I can never say it. I think it's Mosconi. Not sure, but I think that's it. She's a neurologist, and she is leading the field on the research into the female brain and the impacts of hormones. So primarily the impact of menopause, but obviously it also touches on pregnancy and puberty. And, you know, no surprise, but up until now, all research on brains generally been pretty male focused or young female. So there's very, very little research on what's happening to a woman's brain when she goes into menopause. And Lisa has written this amazing book, of course I can't remember the name of it, just please Google it on Amazon. And she's done lots of TED Talks, and she is showing and proving via the science that hormones are impacting our brain, not in exactly the same way, but in terms of the impact, the level of impact. It's the same as if it was puberty. And thank you for listening to me, because it's only as I've done this vlog, the thing that is coming to me is what happened yesterday with the anxiety almost felt very much like what we can often see in teenagers, in that my emotional part of the brain, the cognitive part, was dormant. Therefore there was no context, there was no perspective. And I think that that's somehow how it feels as well when I have those periods of very, very low self-esteem, and the question, the constant thing that can go on in my mind when I'm thinking is what is the value of me? What value, what purpose, what am I adding? You know, that very, very and it is a rational low self-esteem. You know, I'm not in an environment where my self-esteem is attacked. If anything, it's really supported. So I think I'm probably a good example of something that is happening biologically, because I can't sit here and list environmental factors. So it must be biological. So thank you for holding this space and listening to me, because it's just really helped me. It doesn't mean I can solve it, but it's helped me understand. And it was definitely hormonal yesterday. So there's something happened. Maybe there was a dip in my estrogen. Maybe that's where I am on my cycle. Who knows? I don't have periods, so I don't fucking know what's happening, right? Although I do know the last 2 or 3 days, my God, I've eaten like nobody's business. Now, I've put it down to the fact I'm out here in Greece. I adore fresh fish. You know, I adore fresh salad. I just adore fresh food. And one of the things that I've actually, again, really noticed, so diet definitely has an impact. Here in Greece, you just don't eat processed crap. You just don't. So, you know, the fish is caught daily and cooked daily. That you can taste the salad, just how fresh and beautiful it is. Even the bread doesn't have preservatives in it. If you don't eat it on the day you buy it, you chuck it because it just goes stale. So you're not eating processed shit. And I've really been eating a lot the last couple of days. I've been genuinely really hungry. And I put it down to the fact, oh my God, it's just such lovely fresh food. 2 things. One is, I suspect now as I'm talking to you, that shows that there's been something happening with my estrogen, which also resulted in my anxious day yesterday. And I think the other thing that it shows is I haven't felt bloated, and I haven't felt rough when I've eaten a big meal. And I think that's because I'm not eating processed shit. And I think that has a massive impact on what's happening to our hormones and the menopause. Oh my God, I'm going to stop because I have been going on a long time. You have helped me get some insights here, and I think maybe this is just what we need to do. We just need to talk. We just need to talk to help understand what is happening here, rather than the narrative of telling ourselves that we are, I don't know, fucked up, mad, a failure, something wrong with us, blah, blah, blah. We are going through something, and this understanding and sharing, it really helps me. I hope it helps you. Lots of love.